Should opposition leaders be allowed to visit Jammu and Kashmir even as the government is making efforts to, as they say, normalize the situation after the abrogation of Article 370? The question has been raised after Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Satyapal, has perhaps inadvertently invited former Congress President Rahul Gandhi to come and see the situation for himself. After a to and fro on Twitter, of course, Gandhi has asked to go with no conditions attached, even as security is tightened before Independence Day celebrations in the newly formed Union Territory. Meanwhile, a new political leader in Kashmir, Shah Faisal, was stopped from flying abroad and sent back to Srinagar from Delhi. Opposition leaders have been arguing that they must be allowed to visit Kashmir and see the situation for themselves, even as former chief ministers of the erstwhile state, Mehbooba Mufti and Umar Abdullah, remain under house arrest. So, is there enough justification to not allow political leaders from other parties, that is opposition parties, into Jammu and Kashmir? Speaking to us now on this are Wajahat Habibullah, former Chief Information Commissioner, Rashid Kidwai, political commentator, and Ratan Sharda, writer and political analyst. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Habibullah, let me begin by asking you what you think about this sort of to and fro right now between the governor and the Wayanad Member of Parliament, Rahul Gandhi, and the larger question of should opposition leaders right now be allowed into Jammu and Kashmir? Is that the most pressing issue, or is it going to lead to more politicking?
Why not? Anybody wanting to visit Jammu and Kashmir should be allowed to visit Jammu and Kashmir. Have we declared a state of emergency in that place? We have carried out a constitutional reform, which the government, of course, would have us believe is something for the benefit of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. And we've had no less than the Prime Minister reassure the people of Jammu and Kashmir that their future is now bright with these constitutional reforms. So what is the problem about allowing people to enter there? They should encourage people to enter there. They should encourage tourists to enter there.
Okay, Ratan Sharda, how do you, react to this argument? Wajahat Habibullah asks, is there a state of emergency? One, people being allowed to go in, some not being allowed to go out, and of course the question of, former chief ministers of the erstwhile state effectively being under house arrest even after 10 days. If things are improving as the government claims, then why not allow a return to normalcy, even if slowly?
Well, Mr. Habibullah is very experienced bureaucrat. I have huge respect for him, and I will not counter him on the points he raised, but I have some other points. Is it the first time in the cycle of violence and cycle of instability in Kashmir since last 70 years that curfew has been imposed, that there have been restrictions imposed? I'll just give you some examples. Just as back as 2013, there was 1 week of complete clampdown. There was 1 week of unofficial clampdown by the terrorists. In 2008, in October, during assembly election, there was total clampdown, there was total curfew to somehow control the elections. Then we had 1990 violence when there was complete chaos in the valley. 2008, there was also in August and October, there were curfews. In fact, Mr. Ghulam Nabi Azad had to resign. So all these times, there have been various times a cycle of the peak and then down when they have everybody stopped to go to valley. There was a march to border of Muzaffarabad when 50,000 people are supposed to have walked to the border. Right. Nothing could be done. There was attack on military people, 30 military people died, there was curfew. So it is a cycle which is this government trying to break now with a decisively new approach. For that approach to go down with the people where there is a lot of misinformation about so-called rights they have in under 370, I can give a huge list of disadvantage that Jammu Kashmir had at the cost of Jammu and Ladakh with what happened to 370.
No, but specifically on opposition leaders.
Kashmir, I can talk of 35A, which is horrendous law where...
Specifically on
what opposition leaders did these opposition leaders go to Valley when I gave all these examples? They did, yes, but were opposition leaders allowed the times I have talked about? None of them are allowed. So this is a caution that government has to take. With such a decisive step, you have to give the things to time to calm down, so that people are not misinformed. 35A 370 was a misthrown around the neck of the people.
Okay.
When women are exploited, SC/ST were exploited, Gorkhas are exploited, sweepers are exploited. So when do a refugee state without any citizenship right, lakhs of them, when this happens, then you have to take time to calm down. Even in so-called liberal times of Congress and PDP and National Conference, there were the restrictions. I give you some examples.
Okay, so let me get a response to that. Let me get a response to that specifically.
Congress knows it very well.
Yeah, sure. Let me get a response to that specifically. And let me just set the contours of this debate. So today we are not talking about whether abrogation of 370 and 35A was good or bad. We have spoken about that in the past. That is not necessarily the debate right now or today. It is about normalizing the situation in Jammu and Kashmir, and whether opposition leaders from parties apart from the ruling party should be allowed to go and see what is going on over there. Mr. Habibullah, you want to quickly respond to the point Ratan Sharda made, and then of course I'll come to you, Rashid Kidwai. And the simple point being that this has happened in the past. This cycle of violence has taken place, and when you have these clampdowns, he claims that opposition leaders have not been allowed to go even then.
Which is a cycle of violence that has recently taken place. There has been no cycle of violence that has recently been taking place. I was there during the time that the elections were held. I was actually moving around in the valley at that time. Perfectly peaceful. And there have been terrorist attacks, and those have been dealt with by the army. It's not the worst incident that has occurred in all the instances cited. I mean, it's rather ridiculous when the objective of the reforms is to give the people a greater participation in national life. And I might emphasize this. The objective of the reforms is to give the people of Jammu and Kashmir and the people of the rest of the country a greater participation in national life. Then how can you cloister a section of our population from meeting the political leaders, whether opposition or government? I mean, this is a rather ridiculous argument, I'm afraid.
Okay.
You cannot be impatient. That's all I am saying, sir.
Okay. One sec. So the Supreme Court. So there was a petition in the Supreme Court which asked for the restoration of cell phone connections and internet, etc. And the Supreme Court was willing to hear this again in 2 weeks. Rashid Kidwai, is that being seen as some sort of a backing for the government movement? And what is the imagery that is now going out with opposition leaders not allowed to come in, when a lot of media is coming in and going out fairly easily from Jammu and Kashmir? To be fair, you are getting every side and every version of the story from Jammu and Kashmir right now. There may be debates about what is fake and what is real. I'm not getting into that. But there is a lot of traffic in and out of Jammu and Kashmir. So why not opposition leaders? Do you think that the wrong image is going out by this clampdown, or is it justified at this point?
I think this is a area which is a great deal of concern, because after all, opposition is very much part of national mainstream. Just because a particular party or group of parties have majority in Lok Sabha or in Rajya Sabha, that does not mean that opposition does not have a say in the entire democratic process. So when it comes to Kashmir, let us always remember that even mainstream political parties from Valley, for instance, the National Conference has been very much part of the national mainstream. They have braved all those terror attacks. They have lost many of their political activists. All these things are there. So from the day one, when this whole process started of relating to 370 and 35A, somehow opposition was very consciously kept out. There was no harm if they were taken on board. There was no harm if an all-party delegation was led. The way this, some of the media persons have gone there and reporting, and the government is providing some kind of assistance to, bring those kind of accurate reporting. I think a group of 5-6 opposition leaders would have gone. The governor has always been, trying to be clever by half.
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate that he is trying to. He is a, a former politician, but he's a governor. He must not, do this indulgence, loose talk. This is not first time that the governor has disappointed us, and this is one area that is of grave concern.
Let me come to that point to Ratan Sharda. In fact, do you think it was a bit of a foot and mouth situation with Governor Satyapal Malik? Because in this particular case, he effectively invited Rahul Gandhi. Then Rahul Gandhi said, okay, I will come with the opposition leaders. He said, no, there are too many conditions. So now he said, okay, now I'll come without conditions. So now what? So now what? Has he been sort of, checkmated in this situation? And all said and done, he is playing a pretty political role right now. Yeah.
Governor in Jammu Kashmir is always political. Let us admit it.
Yeah.
Appointments are always political there with deep thought. Sometimes they have worked, sometimes they have not worked. And if he has said something which doesn't suit, now he will have to go back and make a new statement. But point is, Rahul Gandhi without any evidence said there are disturbing news from all over Kashmir and he is worried and all that. He was not worried at all while other things were happening in Ladakh and Jammu. He was not worried when people were attacked in Kashmir. Nobody ever made a statement. So this kind of, when this kind of light-hearted or this kind of unthought of statements are made by the opposition leaders, how does governor or the central government believe that when they go there, they will not like to fish in troubled waters? It is not a normal cycle I am talking about. It is a very decisive change in the narrative of Jammu Kashmir, which was never tried. So all these so-called liberal views that were tried earlier did not work. So I am just saying, let things calm down. Why this hurry? Why this impatience of 1 week, 2 weeks, or a month? There have been indefinite curfews earlier on. We never said this ko nikalo, humko lekar ja and all that. Government is also responsible to say they have no voice. There are debates in Lok Sabha, in Rajya Sabha. If you keep on repeating that this is bilateral, this is UN no matter, this international matter, what kind of message are these opposition leaders giving to the world? When these people are quoted by Pakistan, they are quoted by enemies of this nation, then there is something very I can say petty about this opposition parties. So naturally government will be much more circumspect. I am just saying be a little patient. We are not saying that this is going to be situation for all the years. That's all I am saying.
Okay, so Rashid Kidwai wants to respond, but 2-3 points that Ratan Sharda has made. He's saying that how do we know, why didn't he say before, why didn't he go before? But isn't that how politics is played out? Isn't that how politics is played out? Does he or any opposition leader really not have a right to go and see for themselves what is happening? Especially if you have journalists coming in and going out. It's not like all flights in and out of Srinagar are right now stopped. Yeah, Rashid Kidwai.
Ms. Kamdar was not BJP leader stopped from going to Bengal. Just tell me one small point. Were they not stopped in Bengal?
Okay, one by one.
Is something that is very unfortunate. And you see, we may be having some differences. We may be having political parties in India may be having their differences in domestic politics, but when it comes to Kashmir, they have always spoken in one voice. You may remember in 1994 the Parliament of India had passed a unanimous resolution when Congress Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao was there that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India and there is unfinished agenda to bring back the Pak occupied Kashmir. So this is a national resolve. To say that Congress is hand in glove with Pakistan is, I think, absolutely unfortunate and uncalled for. You see, under the Congress, the country has won 3 decisive wars against Pakistan. It was Congress Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru who jailed Sheikh Abdullah for 9 long years. So these things should be kept in mind when someone talks about it.
Okay.
You see, what is the harm if that is saying if media can go, why not Sitaram Yechury, why not delegation of 5 MPs?
Okay,
they could have gone and met some members of civil society.
Answer to that specific point. Ratan Sharda, answer to that specific point, and let's for a minute keep away why didn't they go then and why didn't they say then. Let's talk about this now and this specific point. What is the message that gets sent across if opposition leaders cannot go?
I could use the same argument.
Yeah.
Yes, I am saying that if the same argument of 1994 was, I would use the same argument to say that there is a Prime Minister who took all opposition and opposition played the ball exactly the way Prime Minister wanted. Is this opposition ready to do that? Are not Sitaram Yechury and company, they went to Hariyat leaders trying to show them as patriots, trying to show them they are peaceful people and we should talk to those people who have no base in the valley? Just 2-3 district leaders are projected as national leaders. The same opposition leaders go there and grovel before them, and they make unfounded statements in parliament, or in the media, and you expect government to give them open field? Government will be cautious. That's all I am saying. 94 is exactly the example that everybody should look at. Opposition went along the government, nobody talked about what is the stance now when these clauses are scrapped in Lok Sabha. Listen to their speeches. Leader of the opposition, what Adhir Ranjan says, what Digvijay says, what Mani Shankar says, all these people, what are they saying? And they want to go to Kashmir to create problem there. Let them go to Ladakh, let them go to Jammu, let them go anywhere. But they should realize a national issue. It's not a party politics. That's all I'm saying.
So I'm saying if you don't want political leaders to come in, that's fine. But whether political leaders are allowed or not cannot be decided on what stance they took in Parliament. The conditionality can't be that if you agree with the government, you get to go. If you don't, you don't get to go.
Outside the Parliament.
Yeah.
Outside the Parliament, what did they say? They said that this is Palestine. Mani Shankar here said this is a Palestine.
Okay.
Mr. Chidambaram said this is a communal angle. So these people who put in 370, did they put in 370 as communal?
Okay, Wajad Habibullah, you know, many watching this tonight may think that if this is an unusual position that has been taken, a huge step has been taken, you need time for things to stabilize, and in such, you know, desperate times call for desperate measures. Perhaps you have to have this crackdown, and maybe people are seeing that point of view, that let the government do what they need to, at least for now. What is your cogent counter argument to that?
Well, a step that has been taken, and as the government itself has repeatedly mentioned, a step has been taken to strengthen national integration. And therefore, some separatist tendencies which the government feels were there in the constitutional structure that existed before this has now been removed. So what is the logical consequence? Please, use a little logic. Use a little logic. I think there's something up there which needs to be used. Obviously, if there's greater integration that has been brought about, surely there should be a greater integration across the board. That means even at the political level. That means greater integration in the interaction between government and the opposition in one part of the country as in any other part of the country. No, surely, I mean, what is this argument?
Is the bigger issue though? Ratan Chadha, I'll let you respond to that, and it's 2 versus 1, so Ratan Chadha is getting to go, you know, often to keep the debate balanced. But, you know, Ratan Chadha, is the bigger issue though, at this point, okay, opposition leaders may come, they may get some sound bites. I'm not sure how much trouble they are actually in a capacity to even foment. Let's look at it honestly, the opposition is looking fairly weak right now. So I don't know if this, you know, photo op with Sitaram Yechuri or Rahul Gandhi, how much of a difference it will make. But, you know, let's leave that aside. Is the bigger question right now is how long the sort of clampdown and blockade is going to go on for? And does, you know, a movement on that now become necessary? Maybe after 15th August, because there seems to be an intention to show some kind of symbolism in Srinagar and in Lal Chowk on 15th August. Once that is done, should we then start seeing some easing up of the kind of restrictions that are there right now?
I'm surprised that we are saying that
Ratan Chadha is answering that, yes.
Maximum number of terrorists were killed during this period. Okay. Sorry, I thought I was to answer.
Yes, yes, you are.
So, if there have been the number of terrorists killed during this period is highest for any period, stone pelting incidents during last 4-5 years have been humongous, and thousands of people are arrested, they were released. Are you saying that this is not a cycle of violence? Burhan Wani is killed and you have got lakhs on the street. That is not a cycle of violence being threatened. So, don't tell me the situation was normal. It was not normal at all. And if now after so many years of patience that everybody kept, can't we have a patience of some days or some weeks? We do not know when the situation will be normal. I do not know it's 1 week or 1 month or even 6 months. How does it matter? If we have, all of us want good of the country, let the region be stabilized, let the region be calm, and they should go and they should have their meetings. Everything is fine. It's a democratic country and they can keep on making statements and statements. Even one person's statement is amplified by Pakistan, amplified by BBC. All fake news is amplified, so naturally government has to be cautious, and people have to be a little bit patient. We have been patient for 70 years, nothing would happen. The same cycles of violence, same cycles of so-called talks, same cycle of interlocutors, talking to same actors. Let us talk to new actors, let us talk to new people, let us talk to new politicians, let us talk to young people and see the situation change.
I would extend one more point to that same cycle you are talking about, Ratan Chadha, that, you know, Pakistan and international media have always amplified what opposition parties have said, no matter who the opposition parties are. So, you know, just Rashid Kidwai, a point on the sensitivity on that front. that if there is any critical voice right now about what the government has done in Jammu and Kashmir, it is picked up, I think, by Pakistan and by international media, and you know, it's quite obvious that Pakistan will pick it up. Then what should the reaction be? Should people stop making any critical comments? Should there be that much attention paid to what, say, Imran Khan says today or Pakistan says today? Because they're going to speak in any case, whether anyone says anything.
Precisely. I think, you know, when it comes to Kashmir, we have a national resolve. Every political party is privy to it, and they really value it. To say that Pakistan will miss it, Pakistan always twists, you know, facts that are enemy. There is a saying that me and my brother against my cousin, and me and my cousin against a stranger. So when it comes to Kashmir, all of us are united. And you see, it is for Mr. Ratan Sharda to accept that specific fact. Then only there will be a roadmap ahead. See, the government of India has got support from all quarters. What we are concerned about is what is the roadmap for future. After all, there has to be some kind of democratic process. I hope and pray that government of India has some kind of strategy in place once this this clampdown is over, to start, you know, political process, because ultimately in a democracy you need to, you know, win hearts and minds of the people. To say that what had happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago and all is irrelevant. If we are making a new beginning, let's make a sincere beginning. And every Indian, let me assure Mr. Ratan Sharda, is very much concerned and would be very happy to see, you know, normalization of, you know, a situation in Kashmir.
Now, I think Ratan Sharda is also nodding along. Wajahat, Habibullah, you want to add to that point, that everyone wants normalization. You know, Ratan Sharda argues that you're just going to have to give the government time. And now that the Supreme Court has in a petition given 2 weeks saying that they need time, will we just have to wait and see? A promise has been made that this will be turned back into a state, that we will normalize. Well, we'll wait and see.
Well, I can hope so, and certainly we shouldn't give the impression that we're scared of Pakistan. Now, come on, Pakistan? Well, Pakistan is not capable of doing anything as far as we are concerned, militarily or politically. We are in a safe and secure condition so far as they are concerned. If they want to make noises and things, let them go ahead. Why should we be afraid of it? So far as we are concerned, we should move forward with our own people.
Yes.
And make our own people, restore confidence among our own people, and convince our own people, since we seem to be convinced that this is something that is for their benefit. What's so difficult about that?
Well,
can't we go out and speak to them? And if the opposition leaders would like to come out and speak to them, yes, encourage them.
No,
I would like to speak to them. You would like to speak to them. Mr. Doval was there speaking
Mr. Habibullah, you make it sound very simple, saying what is so difficult. You, with all of your experience, know that it is a difficult situation right now. It is a difficult situation right now. It is not going to be as easy to convince the people there and hope that there are no
We made it a little difficult for ourselves, I'm afraid.
Okay. No, absolutely, absolutely. See, it's a nuanced subject, it's a nuanced debate, and I hope viewers appreciate that this might be the calmest debate on Kashmir they've seen in a while. We like to keep it that way here, and a calm Ratan Sharda is always welcome. So with that, I want to thank all of you for joining us on the show this evening. We also want to wish all of our viewers a very happy Independence Day in advance.
Thank you.
With the promise that we will be back tomorrow to decode and analyze the Prime Minister's speech on the occasion of Independence Day. Don't forget to join us for that show. Thank you for watching.